Hey guys, so in this video we're going to be talking about one of the most beloved and simple to use training methods, luring. Luring is a lot more active than capturing. So when people learn about capturing, it's new, it's dynamic, it's different, but then you pretty much forget about it once you learn about luring. Luring is very easy. All you need to do is take something physical that your dog wants. You can't use praise or petting for this. It has to be food or a toy. And essentially, you take that food or a toy, and based on where you move it, you should convince your dog into a behavior or a position that you can mark, reward, and then release. In capturing, we didn't use release words because we didn't ask our dog to do a behavior. In luring, you are asking your dog, either through verbals, that you can communicate to your dog verbally that you want them to do something, or with hand signs that can also cue your dog into a specific behavior or position. This makes things, again, a lot more active, a lot more dynamic, and a lot more fun for you and your dog. So let me grab my dogs, and I'm going to get my lures together, and I'm going to show you guys some very simple, easy, basic manners and obedience lures that you can use with your dogs. Alright guys, so I've got Theo blocked in the other room. I've got Olive in here ready to be lured and kind of show off different luring tips for you guys. So because I'm right-handed, I am going to have my lure ready in my right hand. Again, for luring, you can't use praise or petting as your lure. You could add it as an additional reward, but you should have food or a toy in your hand that you can physically move around to convince your dog into a behavior or a position that you can mark, reward, and then release. This is going to teach your dogs hand signs. Then you can also pair verbals with the behaviors, so you can either give them a verbal or a hand sign in order to cue that behavior. So, since Olive is already in a sit, I can't mark and reward that because that would be capturing. I didn't technically ask her to sit. She's just offering this behavior on her own. So what I'm going to do is kind of move away, show her the food, lift up. Okay, so by lifting that treat up, she ended up in a sit. She already knows this behavior, so it was pretty easy for me to get. Even if your dog already knows the sit behavior, avoid saying sit, avoid doing what you've done in the past, try this new luring technique. So for me, when I'm luring a sit, I do palm up, going up. Either straight up over the dog, you might get a jump. If you go up and over the dog's head, you might get them to back up. So you've got to tweak this a little bit. You've got to figure out with your dog. If going straight up gets a jump, try arching up over their head. If arching up over their head gets them to jump or back up, maybe play against a wall. So that way, as you're luring either arched or up, your dog can't physically back up. You only have jump or sit, and wait them out. When they pair the treat going up over their head with the action of their butt hitting the ground, then mark, reward, and release them. So again, she was already in that position. Okay, so the moment she does the correct behavior, my marker takes a picture of that correct behavior. My reward is already in my hand, so I give it to her, and then I just add in my release word to let her know that if she wants to get up and release that behavior, she's more than welcome to. So eventually my hand sign for sit becomes palm up, going up. Some people bend just at the wrist. I like to bend at my full elbow. So I could be across the room and I could say, Theo, and just do this, and he knows palm up, going up is sit. So let's try this again with Olive. She's in and down right now. I'm going to lift her up. Good girl. Okay, good job. So I marked her. I added that good girl praise in with my food reward and then told her okay, which is our release word. That means you can break that position if you want to. You don't have to. She's still in it. So If sit is palm up going up, what do you guys think down is? Palm down going down. So what I like to do for this one is get down on my dog's level, so that way the treat's right there in my hand. It's right at their eye level, and I can get all the way. Okay, all the way down without having to bend and scooch and do too much. I have 3 discs in my back that are out of place, so I'm not a big fan of doing a lot of bending. She's already in a down, so I'm just going to lower her. Yes. Back into that sit. Yes. Okay. And then back into that down. I didn't release her till I was done chaining those behaviors. So now you have 2 hand signs to pair with 2 verbals, and you can start doing what we call puppy push-ups. Puppy push-ups are where you sit and then down and then sit and then down. Yes, good girl. So I could have marked her for each of those correct behaviors, or I could have just kept chaining them together. It's really up to you. In the beginning, I would suggest that every time she sits, you mark her. She downs, you mark her. Reward, and then okay. So once your dog is getting the behaviors, you think that they're really getting it with the food. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, then you could start doing without the food and see if your dog is still there. Can you do this? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good girl. Okay. So I kind of messed up there. I gave her the release before the reward, but sometimes you're going to get tongue-tied. I got trainer brain, I got owner brain, and they don't always see eye to eye. So you might get a little tongue-tied, twisted up there. But in just a sec, I'll be right back for some more luring tips and techniques. All right, guys. So with your luring, you don't have to just teach basic obedience. This is really fun for different tricks and different behaviors that you can teach your dog. For example, Olive is leery of new things and new experiences. So one of the things that I taught her that's a little cute is to figure 8 through my legs. So what I like to do is kind of stand with my legs a little bit more than hip width apart. So that way she's got a nice big area to travel through. She's a little bit leery about being under me. So giving her that nice wide area to pass through is going to be better for her. For this lure, I like to take a treat and put 1 treat in each hand. So that way, after I finish one, I've got the other one loaded up and she can work towards the other one very quickly. For this behavior, I like to start with my dog in front of me and I lure them into me from the front, and then they weave around from the back. In from the front and weave around the back. This is because I teach my dog how to walk between my legs. I call that guard, and he walks between my legs. I don't want my dog, as I'm walking, to think that, ooh, maybe this is figure 8, because he's used to coming up from behind me and weaving around the front. So to do this lure, it's very easy, but you're going to have to bend weirdly. So take your time, maybe practice without a dog. Olive's right in front of me, ready to rock and roll because she knows what this is. I'm going to take my lure and drop it behind me. When she goes for it, I'm going to bring her around to the front so her face is right here. When I drop that other cookie, yes, okay, good girl. So that way, as she's going under me, I'm luring her with the food. Again, you can't use your praise or petting for this. You've got to use something physical that your dog will walk towards. So I'm going to drop this cookie right behind me. Yes. Good girl, she followed it. Drop the next one. Yes. Okay, you're all done. Very nice. Just like with sitting down from earlier, you can do with food, then without food. Because I want to make sure that I'm not just bribing my dog every figure 8. But what I like to do is once I like this behavior, Olive was doing it very nicely. So what I like to do is while I'm still using food in my hands, I like to pair my verbal with the behavior with the hand sign. Because my dogs are a very visual species. They're a very physical species in their language. They're always speaking body language to each other. So they're always looking for language versus hearing for language. So if I can pair my verbal language with her visual physical language, it's going to be better for everybody. So I'm going to do one more test to make sure that with food in my hand and in her primary language, she will follow these lures. All right, Olive. Yes. Yes. Okay. She followed it very nicely. So now what I'm going to do, I don't name it till I love it, but I love it. This is looking really, really good. So I'm going to call this figure 8. So figure, yes. 8, yes. So she's hearing figure 8, as she's doing these behaviors. Then what I can do, once I love that, I can take the food out of my hand and see if she'll follow just hand signs or just verbals. All right, Olive, figure, yes. 8, yes. Good girl. Let's see. Figure, yes. 8, yes. Good girl. I had no food in my hand that time, and she still followed. I'm going to give her 2 cookies because she did such a good job. Figure, 8, yes. Good girl. All right. Hopefully this is a really cute trick that you guys can teach to your dogs. And in just a sec, I'm going to do some troubleshooting tips for you guys. So, troubleshooting tips with luring. The first one is that when you are luring your dog, you're going to be using lots and lots of food. Lots and lots of treats, their kibble, whatever it is that you are using. Mix it up, mix it together, use lots of different reinforcements for your dog. But you don't want to be using treats that are this big. This is going to fill your dog up very quickly. You want to break those treats down into this size here. Itty bitty pea size treats. If you're using Tricky Trainers, which is the brand that we typically use, I always recommend breaking those in half. Even though they're very tiny and they're soft and they're easy to digest, what we want to do is make sure that we are using the smallest amount of food possible so that we aren't just filling our dogs full of calories and next thing we have a 212-pound dog. That's not fun to work with. Another troubleshooting tip for luring is if your dog can't complete the entire lure. Olive knew how to sit down in figure 8. If your dog can't complete the entire behavior with one lure, you can break it down into itty bitty baby steps. I'm not going to explain that in this video. I will do a separate video on shaping, which is breaking a final behavior down into itty bitty attainable baby steps. But for now, try your lure. If you can't achieve it, try to break it down as much as you can, and I will be posting a shaping video very soon. All right, guys, have fun with your dogs. Hopefully you've learned a couple new tricks that you can teach them, a new way to teach an old reliable behavior, and I'll see you in the next video.